Welcome to Today at Keeneland, as it is closing day for this historic summer meet at Keeneland on this Sunday, July 12th. We hope that you've enjoyed Keenelanding at home, and we've got one more day to do it before we start focusing our attention on the September sale, which gets underway on Sunday, September 13th, and then obviously on to the fall meet. And there's a little thing called, what's that big thing at the end of the year, Gabby, that's going to happen here? What's it called?
Breeders' Cup?
That's right, the Breeders' Cup. They're coming back here to Lexington, Kentucky for the second time in its historic run across the nation as we go back and forth. But what else can we say? I mean, I feel like whatever we say, it is not going to be the proper words to describe the experience and the racing and the camaraderie and the teamwork that has gone on during the summer meet. I completely
echo those sentiments, Scott. It's been incredible. What an incredible day yesterday. We saw some tight finishes. History was made, including with Rushing Falls' performance. From start to finish, everything in between, it was just a pleasure to be a part of.
And 3 track records set yesterday, including in the nightcap. And we had a track record set on Friday, 7 furlongs by 4 graces on the main track. I mean, to point out one thing yesterday would be unfair, but I think the 2 standouts, obviously starting with Rushing Fall and what she was able to do, she broke the track record by more than a second. A second, which is ludicrous.
What about Guarana?
Guarana was incredible. The comeback performance there. And sadly, she'll be lost in the shuffle partly because of what Rushing Fall did and what we saw in the Grade 2 Toyota Bluegrass.
Yeah, like I said, everything, and you can see Rushing Fall there getting her victory. And Scott, now that makes it Grade 1 victories at age 2, 3, 4, and 5. The only other 2 mares to do that, Beholder and Lady Eli. So she made history. And another thing for Chad Brown, he got his 100th Grade 1 win as a trainer yesterday afternoon. And it was pretty cool that it happened here, a track that he has 13 Grade 1 wins as well.
And then
101.
Yeah, 101.
Surpassed that.
He's on his way to 200. What did it take him, 12 years?
12 and a half years. I think he's put something out on Twitter yesterday, and, you know, it takes a team to get to that point as well.
So when he gets 200, you'll finally not have to pay that extra fee for renting a car. You'll finally hit that age when he gets Grade 1 win number 200.
Trust me, I'm well past that. I will say, though, I liked your open of the show. You finally have made Keenelanding a verb.
It is.
Finally on the last day.
All the kids are saying it. It's circulating around town on social media. All right, let's talk weather. Let's go to WKYT.
Meteorologist Adam Burson here in the WKYT First Alert Weather Center. We could see some wet conditions out there on the track. We'll start to track in scattered showers, thunderstorms starting this afternoon, increasing through this evening. Some of these storms could produce some heavy rain, lightning out there, and even possibly severe by later on this evening. So watching that. Otherwise, temperatures staying in the lower 80s. Good luck and have a great race out there.
So later on tonight, as last night, we did have some pretty strong storms roll through the area here in Lexington, Kentucky, but it's perfect right now for this closing day of the summer meet. Let's get to our full card selections presented by TVG. And starting in race number 1, we disagree, more disagreement. It's just disagreement, minus races 6 and 7. But that's the theme of our friendship.
We agree on race 2.
Yeah,
we skipped over that one.
Yeah.
So race 2,
See,
race
I'm
6.
colorblind, and the green blends in with the background there, so give me...
Race 6, 7, and 8, too, we all agree, which, I don't know. I think that might weigh me down.
It's hard with our friendship to agree. That I think we just immediately want to disagree. It's just, that's how we've established ourselves amongst one another, especially in the working relationship.
I think you're right, but excited to get to it. Scott, hopefully that means that you can have a good day along with me.
I hope so.
To wrap things up.
I hope so. I appreciate the support. Social media, give us a follow on Twitter at Keeneland Racing, Facebook at Keeneland, on Instagram or Insta, as the youngsters call it, at Keeneland. That's what Gabby calls it.
And then on Twitter
at TVG2 Network, at TVG. And don't forget to download the Watch TVG app on Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. And you can catch TVG all day long in HD, both networks. I've got to get my wit in with you because we're not going to see each other for a while. So
yeah, and I feel like we just
for you.
kind of got into the groove of this morning show. It's usually I'm usually beaten up a little bit more, but you've been you've behaved yourself this past week.
I appreciate that. That's the biggest compliment you've ever paid me. Let's go to the final race of the day, the final race of the meet. It is the feature on the afternoon, the Grade 2 TVG Elkhorn, a mile and a half on the turf course, $175,000 purse. And what a field that has been assembled. These are some of the best horses as far as distance horses, long distance horses on the turf in North America racing right now.
Of course, Zulu Alpha, of course, is probably at the top of that conversation, but you also have Arklow in that conversation, and both of these two horses are going to be campaigning for the Breeders' Cup Turf. So we're gifted with some of the top horses in this particular division in the Grade 2 TVG Elkhorn this afternoon. It's just a question, Scott, of whether or not they're going to get the pace that they need to close into today. I know you're going to get in your analysis in a second, but I think that's a major scratch of the 3 Ramsey solution. It takes any type of speed out of this race.
But somebody is going to change things up based on the way we've seen this turf course, because in the nightcap, they went fast, and that was a long-distance race. So somebody has to take the initiative and roll the dice. Perhaps it's with the long shot and see if they can hold on for a piece of it. That's my opinion of the way that this turf course has played and the way that this race will be played. But I'm going to go to Arklow as my top selection, the number 10 horse for Brad Cox, Donegal Racing et al., a Keeneland September sales graduate who most recently, let's roll it back, the Grade 3 Louisville over at Churchill Downs closed into a horse that has been enigmatic for me. I have loved Admission Office. You've been part of the conversations with me and the experiences, especially his race. I think it was up in Baltimore last year where I thought he should have won that race. Maybe it was that 2 years ago. He finally puts it together and gets the victory here, does Admission Office, and that is Arklow down on the inside trying to close, and boy, does he ever come up just short. I think anything like that and what we have seen from him in past years, especially here at Keeneland, is going to be good enough. Florent Giroux has ridden this horse better than anybody. You can look at that, and that's no knock on the Hall of Fame riders and the other riders and top-class riders that have ridden him recently, but him and Florent Giroux are the team. That team comes back together again here today, and I also think that that race was needed because that was his first race since January in the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational, where he was 5th behind Zulu Alpha, the stablemate. I respect Zulu Alpha. You have to. He's my 3rd selection in here. I just wonder if finally he's slowing down a bit. Maybe he'll make a liar of me in that respect, but that's my mindset, as that's what we do when we handicap these races. No respect to him. He's one of those horses you'd love to have in your barn. But my second choice is Oscar Dominguez, and he's a veteran that Richard Baltus, he's got a knack. We talk about Mike Maker with veteran runners on the turf. He has a knack of keeping these horses going. Look at Next Shares, who we saw run in the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile in that top field. He came with it, just was not good enough on Friday. But Oscar Dominguez, his last 3 races are good enough. And he was only beaten 3/4 of a length to United in the San Marcos. What would his price be if United showed up here off of what he's done for L&J Foxwoods and Santa Anita?
It would be short.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
10-1 on the morning line for Oscar Dominguez. He's not going to run to that. Baltus will have him ready to go in today's Grade 2 TVG Elkhorn.
You're a West Coast homer, though. I think that's why you threw in that horse. Your heart, the sentimentality.
I love Richard Baltus. We had this discussion last night. Him and I are a lot alike in many ways, which is...
Well, we don't have time to get into that conversation, but I will start with my top selection in here, and it's going to be Zulu Alpha. And you know why I think you're wrong? I do not think he's lost a step at all, Scott. I think he's going to come with his best here today. The reason why he probably ran poorly last time out, if you watch his last race in the Grade 2 Pan American, yes, he was a heavy beaten favorite. But he had a wide trip. He had to move too soon under Tyler Gaffleone. He was out in the center of the racetrack. And honestly, I thought it was just 2 tough races prior to that last race that probably took a little bit out of him. This was his victory in the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational. I thought this was one of the best rides of the year, period, but also one of the best rides that I've ever seen Tyler Gaffleone give a horse. And he knows how to ride him. Unfortunately, the trip just didn't work out last time out. He's kind of a horse that seems like he likes to be covered up and then come with his closing kick. So with a post position kind of in the center of the field, I think he's going to get that type of opportunity today. I think he's going to bounce back now that they've given him some time to recuperate from those 3 tough races that came within a short period of time. January, February, March. We're talking about the Pegasus World Cup Turf, the McDermott, the Pan American, going against some of the top quality horses in that division in the country. So I like that he's gotten a little R&R, And Michael Hoy, his trainer, or his owner, excuse me, is going to be here, I believe, to help support his horse here today with the 5 Zulu Alpha. So I do think that he's going to give one of his best races, and if that's the case, he'll win. But I am concerned about the lack of pace and how the turf was playing yesterday.
Let's hope that Michael does make it out, because it's always great to catch up with Michael Hoy, one of the class individuals of many in this great game of thoroughbred horse racing. Let's find out more about the 13 Henley's Joy.
We're joined by Jeff Bloom of the Bloom Racing Stable, and they have Henley's Joy going postward in the Grade 2 TVG Elkhorn Stakes on the closing day card of this summer meet. Jeff, he had a couple of subpar efforts this year. What are you seeing in training that gives you confidence he'll come back?
I think more than anything else, the horse had really not had a break, for an extended period of time, and was sort of forced into a break with the whole COVID-19 changes. And so we just decided to kind of not kick him out, but sort of back off his training, let him just take it easy for a while and ease him back into getting ready to run again. And so I think more than anything, the fact that he had ample time to just settle, be a horse for a little while. And since we've geared up again, he's really trained well. He's trained with a much better attitude. He's seems to be really anxious to get out there, and so we're hopeful and expecting a big performance.
He won a Grade 1 last year at Belmont. What about the 1.5 mile distance? How does that fit him?
Actually, we were always looking for extended distances, and as you know, Tom, it's not the easiest thing to find races across the country at added distances, and so the 1.5 miles should suit him very well. He's already proven that on the stretch out, the longer the better, and so it's also an opportunity probably for him to utilize his tactical speed on the extended distance as well. So outside of having just a dreadful outside post, really we expect the horse to come into this race the right way and benefit from the distance.
Jeff Bloom, a man that has had great success over these last couple of years, led by Midnight Bisou, Henley's Joy, part of it, Grade 1 winner last year, who made over $7,000 for his operation. Let's go back to race number 7, the co-feature on the card, the Grade 3 Kentucky Utilities Transylvania Stakes at 1.16 miles. This is for straight 3-year-olds, and the morning line favorite is Field Pass, on the inside for Mike Maker. But I go to Vintage Print as my top play in here, and I think he gets the setup. There's going to be speed in this race. Hopefully they don't get too far away from him, but you got Tyler Gaffleone, which is a good thing as we roll back his most recent start on the 11th of June at Churchill Downs. And Gaffleone, this was the first time that he rode him, and he guided him to victory. It was the same sort of race that we saw from him when he broke his maiden on a good listed turf course. He's a son of Curlin out of a wonderful race filly in Molly Morgan, who was a stakes winner, the daughter of Ghost Sapper. Larry Best, he was out at the racetrack yesterday. He had a win on yesterday's card, and he's looking for a Grade 3 success today. And Larry Best has been such a great supporter of this game, especially when it comes to Keeneland and shopping at Keeneland. He bought this horse, Gabby, for $1.8 million at the Keeneland September sale of 2018. And obviously he's on the trajectory of what was thought of him when he passed through the sales ring just behind us back a couple of years ago when he dropped close to $2 million on this colt.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. He looks like a horse that's just continuing to improve. You and I both landed on Vintage Print. I actually sent in a different replay, though. His race 2 starts back at Gulfstream Park because I thought this was an impressive performance. It was his first race since November of last year. It was on a turf that had a little bit of give to it, so he's clearly proven that he's pretty versatile no matter the surface that he's on. And you can just see how determined he is, both in this race and the replay that we showed from the allowance race at Churchill Downs, where he beat the likes of Fancy Liquor, who, he never gave up on the inside as well. Fancy Liquor, he's going to have to go against once again today. I think Fancy Liquor's probably going to have some more company on the front end than what he had last time out. But, Scott, we'd be remiss if we did not mention the one Field Pass. He is clearly the horse to beat. He is proven. He is incredibly versatile. I like the fact that he showed enough speed to go wire to wire last time out because I think that will help him given the turf course and how this race might play out today. I don't think he's going to be on a lead, but at least he's shown that he has enough natural speed to get himself into the race.
One of the things we need to track down, we need to get a conversation or at least speak to somebody who's spoken to the track maintenance crew and see if they've put any more water on this turf course and how how much water they put on it or how much it received last night because of the rain, because how fast it was playing. That's one thing that remind me we need to track down here.
We did have weather overnight. We had a lot of rain overnight, so.
Race number 8, as we turn our attention to our key race analysis, and race number 8, this one looks a lot different with the scratch of Whitmore. Ron Marquette went to Twitter and said, we're scratching out of here. We're going to focus on the Vanderbilt up in New York, which is a scary proposition because this one looked like it was served up for him to take for $80,000. So watch for Whitmore when he runs up in New York. So a lot of us regrouping, and I went to my second choice, original second choice, now first choice, CZ Rocket for Peter Miller, a horse that has really come on since being claimed for $40,000. And this is what Peter Miller does. Think of the champions that he has claimed, turned into champions after claiming them. And CZ Rocket following in that path as we roll back his most recent success where he won by 4.5 lengths at Churchill Downs. And look how easy he's going at the quarter pole. And he was part of the pace that was 21-1, 44-1, and ends up running 3/4 of a mile in 108-4. You're not supposed to. Normal horses don't run as easy as he does to the quarter pole and finish up the way that he does in this race. So I think he's got a big shot of being favored in this race. 10-1, no shot. And that was obviously 10-1 when you had Whitmore in this race. So not knocking the morning line at all, but you can't look at that and expect that. He'll be closer to 3-1 once we get down to post time. He's the horse to beat in here. Fact finding is interesting on the cutback and distance for Charlie Lepresti and Johnny Velasquez. And then finally, the number 9 horse who gets the opportunity here today off of that Carter run where he took on Vacoma, who would back that Grade 1 win off up with a win in the Run Happy Met Mile Grade 1 winner, the Keeneland graduate Vacoma. Nitrous is a dangerous horse in here because he takes a big drop in class. Look at the horses that he's had to face in his last 5, 6, 7, 8 races. So he'll have an improved performance here today for Steve Asmussen.
I think he's sneaky in here as well, especially with the scratch of Whitmore. He's a horse that you want to use. You and I landed on the same horse here, but CZ Rocket was my original top selection because this is a horse who, even when he was trained by Al Stahl, he has shown glimmers of being a really talented horse. Now, he started to stretch out in distance to 1 mile and a 16th, and in my opinion, that's when he started to fall apart. But now off the claim, I think Peter Miller knows that this horse's game is sprinting on the dirt. So they're keeping him at this distance on the right surface, and I think he's going to run really well today. Like I said, I think he's got some back class that might be, you can't really see that on paper, but he could be a pretty serious sprinter moving forward. So I did land on him as the top pick. I'm very curious about the 6 Coppertown. I mentioned this before. I think 2 trainers have kind of been pointing for this summer meet at Keeneland. One is Wesley Ward, the other is Kenny McPeak, and we have just seen their horses absolutely fire. I think he gave this horse a race last time out at 5 furlongs on the turf, and he's going to be ready to go today. He could be the controlling speed in here, Scott, and I think he's very dangerous.
It's basically a stakes race. Bottom line, that 8th event in between the 2 stakes races, graded stakes races that we have here on closing day of the summer meet. Let's go to the Clocker report. Race number 2, the number 4 horse, Sugar Love, on the 5th of July, worked a half a mile, 4th best of 34 in 47-3, worked with stablemate First Wave, KG Barn, Meat Softer Company, so watch out for the 4 in race number 2. And then East Lex in race number 3, the number 5 horse, also on the same morning, worked 5/8 of a mile, 101 flat, 4th best of 11, worked with an older multiple winner, great turf outfit, positive rider switch. So race 2, the 4, race 3, the 5, mark those in your past performances in your program and your iPad, however you're handicapping these races at home for the Clock report. Race 2, the 4, race 3, the 5. Late pick 4, you've always got the honors, Gabby, as it should be. You're the better handicapper than me. I'm not saying that in jest, but you hit the pick 4 yesterday, so job well done.
Thank you very much. $35 ticket returned $336, I think. We'll see if we can do it today. I actually thought today was a lot tougher than the sequence yesterday, and I could not find a single. So it is still a minimal ticket. $36 is a play. Races 6 through 9. Race 6 is a maiden special weight using the 1, 5, and the 6. The top pick is going to be the 5, Latoya. I like the fact that she stretches out in distance, and with the scratch of Steve Asmussen's horse, I think she has the ability to control in here. In the 7th race, the Transylvania, I'm going to be using 2 horses, Field Pass, and the 5 Vintage Print, which Scott and I both agree on. That very tough allowance race, 2, 3, 6, including CZ Rocket in there, and my price play, Coppertown. And then we get to the TVG Elkhorn, the 9th and final race, 5, 10, 11, using Zulu Alpha and, of course, Arklow. But I'm also using the 11 Rise the Guy, who I think could be the pace in there.
What did Michael Jordan say in The Last Dance? He has a competition problem. I don't know if I'm at that level, but I am pretty competitive, Gabby, as you've seen. So you hitting the pick 4 yesterday and not me is driving me, and that's why I'm spending more money, and I think it's justified. 3 deep at least in each of these races. The Kentucky Utilities Transylvania Stakes, yes, Field Pass is the one to beat, but there are some talented 3-year-old runners in there. So $54, I'm hitting this thing today. I'm calling it right now. I am hitting the late pick 4 on closing day at the Summer Meet.
Okay.
That's it? Just okay? Not yes, you are, Scott, or
you have my
good
full
luck,
support.
Scott? Any of that kind of stuff?
My full support. Good luck.
Best angles, race number 3. Let's go back to that one. What are we doing in race number 3, Gabby?
Race number 3.
I'm doing race number 3.
Yeah,
See, that was my fault.
That threw me off there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's what happened. I'm taking us to race number 3. Digital software is my play in this 3rd race. Digital software for Clarovich Stables and Chad Brown. And the reason for this play is that he was beaten by Grays Creek last time out. We saw Grays Creek put together a strong performance back on Wednesday for Chad Brown right here at Keeneland. So he's 9-5. I know he's going to be a short price, but if you're looking for a best angle on the day, you have to respect this horse, because here's the day in which he was beaten by Grays Creek. He's the gray horse that goes on and wins this one, but he was back behind horses and comes running on late to finish 2nd. He was 2 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. The comment line says no match for Grays Creek. That's the truth. And again, he backed this up, Grays Creek, with his victory here at Keeneland on Wednesday. This horse will be a short price favorite, but this is one that you really have to even build early tickets around. Pick 5, pick 4. You have to include him, maybe even single him if you're feeling that aggressive in race number 3 as my best angle of the day. So that's that. And race number 5, Gabby, is where you're taking us. I've double-checked that that's what it says in the paper, so I didn't make a mistake there.
I'm glad you can read, Scott. Thank you very much. We go to the 5th race, an allowance race on the mile, at the mile on the turf course. And I'm going with a price here. The 7, Lost in Limbo, is 8-1. Now, the 5 Chaps, or I should say the 4 Chaps, is the pace of the race. I do think he's going to be the pace setter, but Lost in Limbo won't be too far off of him here today. We'll take you back to my home track, his performance last fall at Laurel. This was on the 20th of September when he had a heartbreaking defeat at 9-1, just beaten a half length for it all as he comes with a very impressive closing kick down the stretch under Kai Barcoa in this particular day. So here's the story with him, though. He was given time last fall. He was brought back by Tom Proctor down at Tampa in May. He's a horse that I don't think necessarily is best at sprinting on the turf. I think he gets a little bit outrun early. And I don't think he's a 1 1/16 type of horse. So the mile distance and his 3rd start off of the layoff, I think, is going to be absolutely perfect for him. And he's going to be primed for a big one at 8-1.
All right, that's race number 5. Tom Leach's pick of the day on closing day. He's going to take us to race number 7, the Kentucky Utilities Transylvania Stakes, that co-featured grade 3 event. And he likes the number 8 horse Street Ready for Lucky 7 Stable and Ian Wilkes, the Keeneland graduate from 2018, a $240,000 purchase. He likes him in the fact that he was very impressive in his win 2 starts back, and in his subsequent start, most recently, he couldn't overcome a slow pace. So watch out for Street Ready at 12-1. Chris Landeros rides him back yet again for Ian Wilkes, a strong relationship as Ian and Chris are family. So Street Ready, 12-1 in race number 7, the grade 3 Transylvania. We've got some time to kill, Gabby. What do you want to talk about here? As I've rushed
You're
us
the host.
through
You lead the way.
this race.
What do you got?
How would you, when we sit back, not only this year, obviously we'll be back here in September for the September sale. We'll be back in October and then the Breeders' Cup. But 5 years from now, how would you expect to describe the experience that you've had here at the Summer Meet at Keeneland?
Definitely day 1 was unusual, I guess, is the one way to describe it, just because, you know, it had been a long time, Scott, since I'd been to the races, and period. The last time was back in March at Gulfstream Park. So, you know, it was kind of bizarre to come back to the races and be part of a live racing event, and especially a spectatorless live racing event. But also on top of that, yesterday, and experiencing the racing and getting to see the likes of Rushing Fall and Art Collector win the Toyota Bluegrass and see a Philly run in the Bluegrass. I mean, it's probably top 5 ever of the days that I've ever experienced, you know, at the track. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. What about you?
I think just being able to be around everybody, to see the team be as on point as everybody has been here at Keeneland, which is the norm, so it shouldn't be a surprise. But given the circumstances and the various things that we've had to, the hoops that we've had to jump through, and rightfully so, but also being around the horsemen, I feel like we've all just been so ready to interact with one another, 6 feet away, of course, talking and chatting. And I think that hopefully beyond this, and we get busy when there's fans and they've got owners and things here, to me, that's been the biggest pleasure. Obviously working alongside you and the entire team here at Keeneland, but just interacting with folks, because I just think that we share this common love. We share this common passion. Obviously, it is our career, and being able to interact with those trainers, those jockeys, and those owners, it's been fantastic. And I feel like I've learned so much about them and racing and myself in this short span of time, these 5 days that have flown by.
I can totally agree with you on that one. I mean, what makes the sport so special, not only the horses and being able to be around them, but also the horsemen and the stories that are associated with all of this. I think Art Collector and Tommy Drury is a perfect example of that yesterday.
I want to thank everybody on behalf of Gabby and myself, led by G.D. Hieronymus here in the broadcast team. He's got one of the best teams, if not the best. It is the best, let's just face it, when it comes to racing broadcast. And Philip Richardson, our fearless leader on these morning show. Lauren Warren, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Can we do a digital fist bump? Can you pull that off, Gabby? Look at the screen. Look at the screen. A little closer.
Wow.
There you go. We nailed it. Thank you so much. Enjoy closing day at the summer meet right here at Keeneland.
We're on a Toyota USA road trip through the Bluegrass State.
There is so much to see and do here in Kentucky.
And there's no better way to do it than in a new Toyota. They just keep making them better and better.
Toyota actually spends $1 million every hour of every day on R&D.
And the information they learn here is what makes Toyota Safety Sense so effective. Advanced safety as standard equipment. Gotta love that.
Toyota, driven here, loved here.